What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. I've been getting lots of questions about how I was playing the Jester yesterday, so I figured I'd run through a kind of a thrown-together build. This is very day one, so definitely not a final build of how you can play your Jester, or how I played my Jester yesterday all day on the live stream. Now, I went with a hero damage build. One of the things I was really excited about with the Jester is this hammer throw. Now, remember, you don't have to go hero damage. Lots of people were going ability power and said it felt pretty good. So, with that in mind, go ability power or hero damage. As far as mods go, for a hero damage setup, you would want a Firelord set. Ideally, you'd want a full set. As you see, I don't have the full kit put together for the Jester, with healthy power, swap damage, and fragile damage. Now, lots of players don't like fragile damage as, if you take damage, this gets shut off. So if you do take damage quite frequently, remember you can just use a light chip, and it won't give you as much hero damage, but it will be 100% uptime, and all your staffs count as light chips. Speaking of staffs, you're going to want to go with the Earth Guardian staff, or the Earth Guardians for single target damage, or you could always go with the Coral staff, or the staff from the Frostbound Arena Incursion. Now, the two mods I feel like are required mods would be Focused Power and Drenched Power. I've got Healthy Crit Chip in there just because I had the mod sitting to use. So I threw it in, not 100% certain that I would want that one in the third mod slot. Now, since we're using Drenched Power, ideally I wanted to use the Ring of Water for the drenching. However, Chaos 11 has such an absurd amount of geode bubbles. There are geode reflect bubbles on the geodes. Additionally, there are reflect bubbles from the new witch enemies, so you're going to get that reflect bubble just spammed throughout the map, and of course you need to be able to hit through that. So I threw a Ring of Piercing on. Obviously you'd want one that's a higher roll and one with hero damage. Now, when it comes to shards, I got some pretty mixed emotions on things. Just to give you all a look at what kind of damage she will do. You know, the burst damage can go off pretty decently, but it's not going to be crazy high. I've seen it go up as high as, I want to say 40 million DPS on the dummy in the short window. However, as I mentioned, it's just, it's not going up incredibly high. It is functional, but it's not going to be your boss burner or anything along those lines. Now, on the other note, of course, one of the shards is Comedy Empowerment. After using Tell a Joke, increase damage by 20% for 6 seconds. This is giving the Jester a 20% damage boost, and you can keep 100% uptime on it, so you can keep this up all of the time. And this comes with another downside and another just thought. Obviously with Focused Power, you'd want all your cooldowns up. We've got a cooldown for Tell a Joke. We've got a cooldown for the Chattering Teeth, and we've got the cooldown for the Card Barrage. However, the cooldowns are incredibly fast, making this a seriously spammy build. It is a button masher like crazy to keep all of these cooldowns up. Now, the question there is it worth the 20% Tell a Joke? To get the 100% uptime on this, you're going to need Inspiration. It reduces the cooldown of your abilities. I almost wonder, is it worth using Inspiration and keeping that 20% uptime just to eliminate some of the button spam? Because it is just crazy how often you have to spam through 124, 124, 124 while you're firing. With that in mind, like I said, pretty mixed emotions. The majority of the time I was playing lazy mode and just spraying them down. With the pet in the mix, you know, you're not going to get incredible damage, but you are going to get, you know, 10 million DPS plus by yourself on the dummy. That's how I played the majority of the day, just because I didn't want to go into the carpal tunnel surgery again to try to keep all of these cooldowns up for focus power. Now, if you get rid of inspiration, then those cooldowns become quite a bit longer. It's not quite as spammy, but you lose the 100% uptime on that 20% buff. Now, if you're going to use the cooldowns regularly and you don't want to spam them, I would say leave inspiration out of there, as, I don't know, it just, to me, it just feels super, super spammy. One other thing, like I mentioned, I was real excited about the right click, the hammer throw, boomerang hammer. The problem with this is you have to stop firing to cast it. I feel like if I could just hold down my left click and keep the primary attack going, and then right click over to the boomerang, I feel like it would be much more worth it. I don't feel like it's worth using it. In my personal opinion, it doesn't feel worth stopping your main attack to use, even though it does have some cool value. So with that in mind, I did get rid of these two. You got Shrapnel Whirl and Hammer Barrage. These are two glove shards I was going to be using, and these two just do not... the playstyle itself was not fun to me, stopping and casting the right click. I do think that hammer throw is super cool, though. I would love to be able to work that in, but I don't want to go back and forth. You know, I just don't want to go back and forth. In fact, I feel like you lose damage by doing that from stopping your regular primary attack from going. So in the helmet slot, Hasten is kind of a no-brainer, increases attack speed. I've been using Inspiration and that Comedy Empowerment. For gloves, Critical Strike, Critical Empowerment, and the third slot is kind of optional. I've been using Long Shot, as I do shoot at them from far away, and since I'm using our Earth Guardians, the accuracy is pretty good at a distance. Before that, I got rid of those two, and I was using these two for the Boomerang Hammer. But like I said, I just didn't really like it. You know, it felt like it was interrupting things more than anything else. In the chest, I was only two sharding it. The main two, of course, being Power Gambit and Coup de Grace. You're going to want to make sure to get those in on every single hero damage build without a question. And then in the boots, I just went with the quality of life, so Speed Boost and Bunny Hop. Of course, I got... well, actually, looks like I did not max everything out. But ideally, you know, I would have everything maxed out. I want to get that going. And I'm not really sure how I'll play the Jester, or, you know, I'll be honest, I really love playing the Hunter. I play the Hunter all the time. That's my main DPS character. I do really, really enjoy it. I'm not sure if the Jester is going to be enough for me to swap over from the Hunter, but I do really want it to be, no doubt. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Yeah, mixed emotions on this one. This is the day one setup. Back to the staff shards. I didn't go over it all. I've got Hammer Time in here. Hammer Time is not incredible. It is not like Charged Shot, although it's similar to Charged Shot. If Hammer Time was actually casting the hammer, the Boomerang Hammer, automatically, and then you could use these two shards with it, I think it would be absolutely incredible. However, since it's not, it's its own entity, it just looks similar, it's not scaling with Boomerang Hammer. It's just a flat, raw multiplier, 200% of your hero damage as magic damage. So depending on how buffed up you are at the time, that's what you're going to get out of it. So Hammer Time I don't feel like is necessarily a great choice. Sundering Blow you can just never go wrong with. It is always going to be a great choice really on every single hero. Reduce enemy resistances by 24%. That is just absolutely incredible. And then, as I mentioned earlier, since I'm using Drenched Power, which is crazy strong at the 70%, I had to throw in Drenching Strikes to get some drench out there. At a 38% chance with this fire rate, getting the drench on is just a non-issue altogether. However, I would prefer to use a Ring of Water and not have to worry about it. Like I said, the Siren Bubbles, from a DPS perspective, seem crazy over the top in Chaos 11. It's not as noticeable in the Chaos 11 expeditions because you're just powering through everything. However, jump into the Dawn of the Blood Moon incursion on Chaos 11 and then tell me what your thoughts are, because it is much more challenging in a situation where the enemies are scaled up a little bit higher, and it can get quite difficult. And if you don't have some way to pierce those bubbles, it's just going to lead to unhappy times and really make it where the Jester is going to be completely ineffective. But that is my thoughts so far. I'm not sure what I will end up settling on. Lots of people have me convinced to try out an ability power setup on her. You would do basically the exact same thing for ability power. You would go healthy AP, swap AP, and then fragile power instead of fragile damage. You would have the basic same setups, and then of course you would be focused on using those abilities. And yeah, as I mentioned, people are saying that those things hit crazy hard. But anyway, that is my thoughts on the Jester. She's good enough to get the job done. She's not absolutely incredible from a DPS perspective. However, this is how I have been playing her. But let me know how you've been playing your Jester. And thanks a ton for watching, y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you soon. Take it easy.